everybody. Welcome to Barely Filtered with Aurora. Just me today, no guest. And well, I do have my manager sitting right underneath the camera so that I have somebody to look at as I warm up to, just talking to myself for a full hour. It's kind of a skill. I don't know. It makes me think about back in high school or college when you'd have those teachers or professors who could just literally talk for an hour and they could just keep it going. That was like the OG podcast, just having a classroom of people that like have to listen to you. So you guys have a choice. You can shut me off or fast forward. We didn't have a choice. But anyway, we're going to talk about a few different things today. I did set up a voicemail and we got some pretty funny ones. One of the guys that I'm currently talking to left me a voicemail, which was kind of funny. And we're going to talk about him because you guys are going to need to let me know what you think about this. He won't follow me on Instagram. Like, is that a red flag? Yeah. I mean, so I broke it down to a few people. I was like, I'm talking to this guy. So it's the same guy who he liked a picture of mine from like a year ago on Instagram. Doesn't follow me, didn't DM me, like didn't slide in the DMs. And we talked about last week or a couple weeks ago how I think that might be like the new sliding in of the DMs, but it's less traceable. Because it shows you that they cared enough to look through all of your photos, a year back. And then to like one of them, they pop up. But how did he know I would even see it? I mean, he has a blue check mark, but everybody does now because you can buy them. So anyway, I've been talking to him and I kind of was just like, I just thought he was hot. And I was like, okay, he's probably a fuckboy because all signs so far pointing to yes. But then you go back and forth with the text banter. And now we have some inside jokes. He's like somebody I look forward to talking to during the day. And you just like start to like get close to somebody over text because it's just, you like how you jive, your rapport works. And it doesn't work like that for everybody. Like there's plenty of people where the conversation falls flat or like they make a joke that was just so not funny that like there's no recovering. Like there's a few guys who have made jokes to me and I'm just like, there's not like one thing you could tell me right now that would ever make me think you're sexy again. I don't know. It's so bad. But anyway, this guy, he's been kind of like, we've been getting along great. And then I noticed he doesn't follow me on Instagram. So he has like 600 and something thousand followers on Instagram. I think he's bigger on TikTok. I don't know. I don't really do TikTok. But he only follows like, I'm not going to give the exact number because I don't want people to be crazy and like try to stalk him out. But it's like it's 125. Anyway, so he doesn't follow a lot of people. And I'm like, follow me, like just straight up. And he was like, no, I don't. Like the only people that I follow are like, people from my work and this and that. And like people that are like in my circle. And I'm like, I was just like, okay, there's only a few reasons why you wouldn't want to follow me. And the main one being you don't want someone to see that you followed me, a random girl. And I'm like, you probably don't want the girl who you're seeing to see that you're following girls. Like somebody thinks that you belong to them. That's got to be it. And then I kind of brought it up to my sisters and, my conciliaries. And they're like, well, there is like a group of people who care a lot about their following to followers ratio. I do not give a flying, you know what? Do I swear on my podcast? Like, what's my brand? Am I allowed to swear? Okay, well, in my life, I would say I don't give a flying fuck like how many people I follow. He's like, I only follow people that like bring value to my life and stuff. And I'm like, excuse me, like I follow, I think 3,000 people. They're cute small animals. They are inspirational quotes. They are extremely attractive people. They're people that brighten my day. This brings value into my life. And I don't care about my following to follower ratio. I actually think it's cool when people follow a lot of people because it just means that like you have a wide range of interests and like also that you're not bothered by other people's energy. And I don't know, like I hear a lot of people being like, I had to unfollow all these people because it was just like taking up too much space in my brain and this and that and the other thing. It's like, yeah, if there's somebody who's bringing a weird energy like through my phone, I unfollow them. But for the most part, I find people that are super creative, that are so funny, that are inspirational. And I'm like, it actually makes me really happy sometimes to see how creative people are. Like The shit people come up with, people are hilarious. That's what I feel about having a big following. He doesn't feel the same way. He likes to keep his circle really small. And evidently, I haven't made the cut. I'm just the stranger, which is true. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Should I take that as a red flag? Or should I just wait like I have in the past until, shit really hits the fan? So that was kind of another topic that I wanted to dive into, because something that he's kind of been telling me, and that a message that I feel like we often hear of following your gut and really going headfirst for what calls you. And that's kind of my personality. Like, I've never been somebody who really thinks a lot before they jump in. It hasn't really worked out for me that well. I'm not going to lie. And now I'm kind of at this point where it's like, it's in a way, I don't know if it's sad and if I should go to therapy over this, but I don't know if I trust my ability to choose people anymore. You guys know the last person I chose was a full-on con artist. My ex-husband was great because we have 2 wonderful kids together. We co-parent well, but he also wasn't really, what I agreed to was not something that our deal together as a partnership was something that I knew I shouldn't have signed up for at the time. Let's put it this way. I was settling. I was making exceptions that I never should have made. And I just feel like it's always because I find them to be super attractive in some way. Not physically attractive, but something, it's a visceral primal instinct where I'm I want you and I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to put my blinders on and I'm going to go for you. But it's and that's how it is with this guy now. And am I making excuses for him already? He won't follow me on Instagram. And he's why do you care so much about Instagram? Why do you care so much? And I'm is that gaslighting? I don't know. I don't care about Instagram. It's not about Instagram. It's about that likely the reason you don't want to follow me is because of something bigger than just your following number. I don't know. That's my other thing. I find that people who obsess about their ratio and who they follow, it's always the shady people. It's always the reason I don't care about that is because I don't have anything to hide. If you care about people seeing what you're seeing or what you're selecting, then you think there's something inherently wrong or shady about what you're selecting and the reason behind your selecting. What is your motivation? And that is kind of on par with that liking of a photo from 1 year ago. I do that to people too. I'll just find myself scrolling through some random person's account and I'll like something from a year ago, but I mean, I don't know. It's usually not a hot guy because that would be, I'm the hot girl in this scenario. But I don't know. But in his defense, the picture that he liked was it was a wagon full of puppies in my parents' backyard. And he still hasn't told me how did he find me? That's the other thing that's kind of weird sometimes. Sometimes I'll go to the doctor sometimes and they'll be okay, Olivia, you're all set. And I'm Olivia, that's my sister. People just they found me through my more famous sister or my more famous sister's boyfriend or something. And it's just that always gives me the creeps because it's what are your intentions? Are you just trying to be in some circle that I'm just on the sidelines of? I don't know. If they think I'm a jet setter living Olivia's life, making Olivia's money, then they got another thing coming. But I mean, eventually, it's coming. We're working on it. It's any day now. But I don't know. I guess I need to stop posting photos of me on private jets and stuff. Really giving the wrong impression.
Manifesting.
Yeah, that's just me manifesting. Somebody literally commented, they were this was your sister's exact post, her on the same plane, in the same car. And I didn't even know that. It's just well, we weren't there for the same weekend. I don't know. I post the same thing. This other guy who I matched with on Riot wants to go on a date tomorrow. He wants to bring me to the LACMA to see a show that his friend is putting on or something. I don't know. And then go and get dinner. I feel that's a big commitment for a first date. First of all, I live in Manhattan Beach. I don't love when a guy asks me out and is like, meet me here, which is an hour away. So then I drive up to the Lockma and he wants to go to dinner, but what if I don't like him? Then I'm stuck for a few hours. And it's really hard to bail without coming up with, I don't like to lie. I'm not a good liar. I feel like I should just, I don't think it's rude if I'm like, listen, I feel like that's a big commitment for a first. Do you think he would be offended? Okay, so she's saying we respect that he planned a date. That's thoughtful. Because a lot of guys be like, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, never mind, just go away. Yeah, you want to come over? You up? Oh my God. Yeah, that is a big commitment for a first date. So probably won't be doing that. Maybe I'll grab coffee with him. So that's my dating life right now. As you can see, still kind of a little bit of a shit show. But to be honest, I'm having fun. At the moment, I'm having fun. Still very much single. I'm going to meet this guy, the one who won't follow me on Instagram. I'm going to meet him in a few weeks because I'm going back east and that's where he is. Okay, in other news, I got a call this morning. This is good information. So take note of this. Listen up, because this can happen to anybody. I don't know why I'm always the victim of these kind of like scams, but a couple years ago, I had an Amazon seller account and it got hacked. And I would get DMs on my Instagram and on my Facebook from people who because my name was Aurora Culpo on my Amazon seller account. And somebody took over it and they were selling these like fake, well, they were blankets. They were like felt blankets or fleece blankets with big like wolves on them and like sheet sets with like just like the most random things. So that's what I was selling, evidently. And people would make these orders and then they'd come looking for me on my personal Instagram and Facebook and be like, I never got my tiger bed sheets. What's up with that? Like you're a con artist. Like you scammed me. I want my money back. So it was causing me problems, and these poor people were losing money. It was somebody who had hacked my account. It took me, I'm telling you, back in the day, there was like Jeff Bezos. You could just email him. That was like his thing. You could like, it was literally like jeff@amazon.com or whatever. So I'm over here being like, Jeffrey, listen up. Like, we need to talk. Obviously, I didn't get an email back from him, but I was on the phone with Amazon like every day it took about a year to get all of this settled. It was such a nightmare. So that happened. Now, fast forward to this morning, I'm getting my kids ready for school. I get a call from somebody being like, hi, like, did you place an order on your Amazon account for a MacBook? And I'm like, no, I did not. They're like, oh, well, it looks like somebody's been pre-approved for this MacBook. I'm going to need to like file a claim for you. I just need you to confirm some things like what's your date of birth. So I told them, they're like, is this your email? Yes, blah, blah. They're like, okay, what's your bank? What bank do you use just so we can know like what account this might be like you would be paying from? I don't know what their reasoning was. At this point, I'm like, anytime people start to ask about banking stuff, I'm just like, this already feels shady. But it was a woman, which made me trust her more. And I could hear all these people behind her that it sounded like she was in like a call center. And there was there was a few different things that made me feel like, okay, well, this does sound legit. Like this sounds like what it sounds like when you call somebody at the Amazon support center. So she starts to be like, okay, well, I'm going to call your bank and have somebody from the fraud department talk to you. Just hang on a second. I'll transfer you over. And I'm like, I think I'll just call my bank. Like I have Bank of America's number. I'll just give them a call myself. And she's like, no, it's okay. Like we got it. We're going to transfer you right now. Some other guy gets on the phone. At this point, I'm fully like 100% convinced that it's a scam because she wouldn't let me call my bank myself. And now I have this guy on the phone, like starting to ask me questions about my bank stuff. So I'm trying to get my kids ready for school. I literally said to them, I was like, do you hear this? Do you hear my children in the background? Like you're trying to scam a single mother sending her kids to school. You're trying to scam me. There is a special place in hell for you people. And they like just ignored me. They were like, we're sorry, ma'am. Like this is not a scam. We promise you, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I called Bank of America. They asked me one question. They're like, what's the phone number that called you from? Because this wasn't a blocked number. It was like a full on number that popped up on my screens from Texas, like a 325 number or whatever. So I gave them the number and they were like, yeah, this is a scam number. Like anytime you have a question about a phone number that's calling you, call your bank. They have this like database of all the numbers that people have ever been scammed from. And they were like, you just call us anytime, we can confirm that it's a scam. Don't worry, as long as you didn't give any of your bank account information, like you're totally fine. So I just found that to be such useful information that our banks have a list of phone numbers of these scammy people. Because even when I hung up with them, I was like, I wasn't totally sure they were scammers. And this was actually the second time in the last month where that happened to me. I Googled, you know what I was trying to do? This is so random. I was trying to delete one of the dating apps I was on that was just like way too much. And I was trying to get to their like customer service number. So I Googled it, the first 1-800 number that popped up, I like called it, and I start talking to this guy, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'd like to delete my account. He's like, what's your email address? Okay. What's like, you paid for it with your PayPal. Okay. I'm going to send you a text message to your phone. Like, tell me what the code is. So I give him the code. He tried to use my PayPal. It was a scam, and it was right off Google. It was like, I mean, I obviously didn't really look, because it probably, anytime you get an email too, that's like your PayPal like bill has gone through, and it's like you can see the PayPal logo and everything, but if you zoom in and you like really look at what the email is, it's always like at gmail.com, you know, and PayPal's never going to send you an email with a Gmail email address. Anyway, so don't get scammed, guys, and call your bank if you have any questions about phone numbers. Last week's episode, we talked about how I was getting a new au pair. So we had one. She came with a cat. I bought all this cat stuff. I spent like $900 at Petco on cat furniture to make this cat feel at home. We got all the cat toys. My kids were so excited. The girl had a family emergency. I also was like being so nice, and I like gave, and I'm happy to do this, but I gave her so much clothes and products and stuff because like I thought she'd be there for a while. She stayed with us for 4 days, took all the shit, took the cat. Now I'm left with no help and all this cat furniture. So I think I told you that my ex-husband really wanted this very beautiful Brazilian au pair to come. She came. She, in fact, does not know how to drive. So she's not driving my kids anywhere. And all day yesterday, when I'm supposed to be prepping for my podcast, I am a fucking chauffeur bringing them all around town. I don't know. I feel like it's going to get better. Just have an extra body around is so helpful, because I work full time and then I have my kids like probably 75% of the time. But it's just hard that she doesn't know how to drive yet. And now my kids want a cat. We don't have a cat yet. She has a license, but she crashed her. She came from Brazil to Maryland, and she was with this other family. She crashed their car. She crashed their car because she didn't know what the yield sign meant. Okay, now, I'm not exactly sure if that means she's a bad driver or if it means she just like didn't know about the signs that we have. Either way, I'm not putting my children in a car with her, but I am going to put her through driving school, have her take a test. She does know how to ride a bike. She's welcome to use the car, because my ex is like, I don't know if he leased or financed it or whatever, but evidently if she does like total the car, she's only on the hook for like $500. So I need to tell him that part. Somebody mentioned that. I don't know. It's like, I feel like every day it's like one step forward and 2 steps back, because we've been trying to get this au pair situation sorted out for months. There was a girl from Mexico who I loved. She ended up overstaying her visa back in Mexico. She could not get back into the United States from Mexico to work. Like, I don't get it. So that was the first one. The second one, we finally got here. She brings the cat and then leaves after a few days. And now we have this one who doesn't drive. And my kids are being such little brats to her. It is like ridiculous. When we were little and you used to see on TV shows, kids who'd be mean to the babysitters. That's fully what my kids are doing. Like my little 3-year-old daughter, who's so nice to everybody, I saw her fully being like bullying the nanny. And I'm like, absolutely not. You cannot do that, Soleil. And she's like, well, Remy does it. Like, she's in the age where she just follows everything her brother does. And I don't think they just don't want the nanny. I think maybe deep down they feel like the nanny's taking away something between the parents, especially because me and their dad are divorced. I always feel bad because I'm like, are you feeling sad? Like, do you feel like I don't want to take care of you as much? Like, she's just here to help. But they don't care. They do not care. They have it. Since she's been here, things have been harder. I'm hoping it's going to start getting easier. I just don't know. And the reason why I do the au pair is because it actually is much more affordable, because as long as they can live with you, it's a lot more affordable than a full-time nanny. And the hours are more flexible. If you have kids that are in school, like an au pair will work like 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then like 3 p.m. to 8 p.m., which it's really hard to find somebody who will work those hours. So anyway, that's the update with her. I'll keep you posted. She is super nice and she's very cute and she's single. So who knows? Maybe she'll be their stepmommy. That'd be funny. Then they can really be mean to her. Yeah, then I'll be like, go for it, guys. Okay, we're gonna talk about what's working and what's not. So I like to do this section sometimes in my episodes just to talk about like beauty stuff that I've been liking. So I got a lash lift and tint lately and everyone is obsessed with it. And by everyone, I mean 10 people who asked me about it in person. And I have been getting like DMs about it too. So I use Latisse on my eyelashes. It makes your eyelashes grow like crazy. I always had longer eyelashes, but this really does make your this isn't an ad, by the way. I think they work for like the pharmaceutical company. So the product was originally made for glaucoma, and then long eyelashes was a side effect that whoever had that idea is now very rich. But there are some other side effects that can happen. Like it can change blue eyes brown, but not the whole eye. Like it can like kind of mutate the color a little, which I think would be really beautiful. So that can happen. I'm willing to take that risk. It can also kind of irritate your eye. Like my sister Sophie doesn't like it. That being said, it makes your eyelashes grow like no other product. And they grow so much. Olivia it's like a little dropper. She used it on her eyelashes and it would always kind of drop down like a tear and she would wipe it away. She fully grew like a line of hair down her face. That's how effective this product is. So she doesn't do that anymore. They give you like these little wands to apply it with. So you do that and then you go get a lash lift and tint. So a lash lift is basically a perm for your eyelashes. And you have to make sure you go to somebody who knows what they're doing because a perm is chemical. You don't want your eyelashes to fry off, or if you get it in your eye, it can be really painful. But it does last for like 2 months. You don't want to do it any sooner than 8 weeks after you've already had it done because it is a chemical on your eyelashes. And then you get a tint with it, which is just dyeing your eyelashes, black. Because since I have such light hair, even if you have dark hair, it's amazing. Like the ends they get sun-kissed, if you will. And then your eyelashes look way shorter if all you have to do is dye them, lift them, and then now I don't have to wear mascara, which is actually healthier for your eyelashes to not have to, 1, curl them, or 2, wear mascara. So that's how I justify it. And there's a girl named Christina that you can just send me a DM and I'll send you her information. She's in LA. If you are in LA, she's amazing. She does a lot of celebrities. She does like Margot Robbie. She does, who's the big girl who's everywhere? No, she's not a big girl. Like she's a big name right now that's everywhere. The one with the big boobs, Sydney Sweeney. She does her. She does me. I mean, what more do you need? So anyway, that's what's working. This is what's not working. I don't know if you guys have heard in the news, but there was like, I think 4 to 5, maybe 6 women in California who all went to the same spa and had the vampire facial done, and they have HIV from it. Okay, so I've had the vampire facial done many times before. I've, thank God, never had any experience like that. And I think it's very uncommon, but I don't love this facial in general because, so it's the one where they take your blood from your arm, they spin the blood to separate the plasma, the PRP, the platelet-rich plasma, from the other stuff. I don't know, red blood cells, whatever. And you get injections, usually like people who are in sports or recovery or even like post-surgery, doctors use this to help to grow new platelet-rich plasma, new like, it's not stem cells, but basically it's used for healing. So on the face, they make these little kind of microdermabrasions, and then they'll lay the platelet-rich plasma on top of it, so it kind of soaks it in. And you guys, it does not do anything unless you go like 5 times. And each of these sessions are anywhere from like $1,000 to $2,000. You need to go at least 5 times. And then the results don't even last forever. And evidently you could potentially get an infection. I'm not afraid to get an infection because of that. Like I would still do it. If it worked, I'd probably still do it. But do as I say, not as I do. But seriously, I'm not a fan of the vampire facial or anything really to do with PRP unless you're going more than 5 times. And in that case, you're going to be spending a lot of money. So that's what I'm not into. What kind of facials am I into since now that I'm here? I really do like a radio frequency. Like radio frequency does not have to be super expensive though. They have a few different modalities, like M-Sculpt does one. There's a lot of like red light therapy with radio frequency and muscle contraction devices. Find the cheapest one because I feel like they're all the same. But I really do like radio frequency. It's my friend who owns a lymphatic salon. I talk about her a lot because she has all these kind of devices that she gets from Brazil and because they're cheaper there. But you can use radio frequency on cellulite, and her before and after pictures are nuts. Like if you struggle with cellulite or any kind of like sagging skin, like loose skin under the neck or under the chin, find a radio frequency device. They really work super well. A few questions that I got off my Instagram were what workouts are working for me. So I tried Bunda recently, Bunda. I think it means butt in Portuguese, like Brazilian Portuguese. And it is exactly that. So it's the Stairmaster. It's like you do Stairmaster, floor, Stairmaster, floor, Stairmaster, floor. So 3 times you switch. And I vehemently hate Stairmastering. Like I do not like that machine. I won't go on it at the gym. But this is really doable. And I can barely walk right now. I went a few times last week and twice this week. And I really, really like it. It's perfect for like an ADHD type workout where you don't want to do too much of one thing for that long. Like, I think that's why I get scared of like any kind of machine, like a treadmill or a Stairmaster, because I look at it and I'm like, that feels so boring and painful and not fun. But this is actually fun because you're just doing 7, like you can do anything for 7 minutes and it is so effective. And then you do a lot of like squatting and sliding with your feet, and it's in a dark room, mostly women, which I like, men are in there too, but for the most part, it's like, it's an exercise that women want because it's for like a bikini butt. And I'm a fan. So if you can find a Bunda near you, and Bunda is not sponsoring me, but I did DM them because whenever I find something that I really like, I'm like, we should collab. You guys are cute. Okay, Bunda. And then also Catalyst is a workout so this is a little bit more of an investment, but it's good for people who want to work out at home and don't have the flexibility to leave. So Catalyst with a K, it's a suit. You have to buy the suit. That's where the investment comes in. And it's not super cheap, but they do have sales all the time. I think it's over $1,000. But it's a suit that you wear that it's like from your upper leg all the way up and on your arms. And it has these electromagnetic currents that stimulate your muscle contractions. And this is perfect if you are somebody who's just starting to get into working out, where you're not really even sure how to target certain muscles. Like there's muscle, a lot of times our muscles become so dominant. Like if you're used to always picking things up using your biceps, or always, like for me, I have traps where when I carry things, like I'm always using these muscles. So I'm not recruiting any of the little muscles in my back because they just this just takes over and I don't have any control over it because of the way our brain to muscle communication works. So when you wear any kind of a suit that has this stimulation of your muscles through magnetic energy, it can recruit those muscles. And then you notice you start using those muscles more on your own without wearing the suit, which is why I really do like it. It also is because it's a more concentrated workout where it's more efficient because you're recruiting and targeting all of those muscles. You don't have to do it as often. It's and your sessions are much shorter. It's I think 15 minutes for one session is the same as an hour workout. And I have a friend who only does this. She does it once or twice a week. And I literally asked her at soccer practice for our daughters. I'm like, what happened to your butt? Like, did you get BBL? What's going on here? And she would tell me, and she's like, no, I've just been using this suit. So I'm going to get one. Actually, they're going to mail one to me and I'll try it out. And I also am not somebody who likes to work out at home. Like I hate it. Actually, I want to go to a class. I want someone just to tell me what to do and not have to think about it. And I don't like working out in my home for some reason because I like getting out. So I didn't think I would like this workout. I will be honest with you guys. If I do or if I don't, we'll see. But they do have instructors. There's like an app where you can control your own like levels because it can shock you a little or shock you a lot. So you can set it to different settings based on like what your targets are. And then there's also workouts that you can download on the app. So TBD, we'll see. So the suit is an outfit that you're wearing during the workout, and it's basically like electrocuting certain muscles as you're working out. It's just stimulating them through electromagnetic energy. We were talking about STDs, and by we, me and my manager, we're talking about STDs because what do you talk to your, team about? And it's because like, I'm dating and I was having sex with the same person for 10 years. So now I'm like, oh, STDs, like you have to wear a condom if you want to have sex with somebody. This is interesting. Like, tell me more. And there's a guy who I brought back from my roster, and I was like, maybe I'll just like hook up with him, whatever. And my friend's like, Aurora, you can't, he has herpes. And I'm like, how do you know? She's like, my friend told me. I don't know how she knows, but she knows the girl who gave it to him evidently. And I'm like, oh, that's something like I need to worry about now. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get tested all the time just because from having babies, they test you for everything. Like every time you have to give birth, and then they hear you're single and they just always want to test you. I get tested like once a year, but no, I haven't had any scares. There was this one guy in college though who like I hooked up with. It wasn't in college, I don't even know, it was before I got married. We hooked up, and then the next day he was like, I just want to let you know that I have chlamydia. And I was like, why did you sleep with me if you knew that you had chlamydia? And he was like, sorry, like I just felt like I needed you to know. Ben, talking to you. Okay. And so I went to the doctor and got checked, and lo and behold, it was positive. And they were like, it's not a big deal. You just take an antibiotic. Like, are you having any symptoms? I'm like, no, I don't have any symptoms. They're like, that evidently can show up the next day. Literally, I slept with this guy the night before. The next day it came up positive. And so, yeah, Ben, thank you. But you want to know what? Ben, so I got the round of antibiotics and it was gone. But I actually called him years later and thanked him, because chlamydia is one of those STDs that for women, it's like it has no symptoms for the most part. I think probably there's exceptions, but it's like they call it like the silent killer, and it can wreak havoc on your reproductive system, and you won't even know that you have it until you're really sick. So he actually did me such a favor, because he let me know to get checked so that I could treat it right away. And now, I mean, if it wasn't for that, I might not have my kids. Who knows? Like, I feel like that's why I'm not ashamed to talk about STDs and things that that I've gone through, because if there's shame around it, people are less likely to inform their partner. And I had to tell somebody else I was sleeping with that I was positive for it. And I hope that person passed it to whoever else they were sleeping with. I mean, it was college. Like you can't, I don't know. There's so much shame around people's behavior and like what you might have contracted from your behavior that, I'd rather be a little embarrassed than mess up someone's reproductive ability, or like it can give you cancer. I mean, like, this is real serious shit. So if you or someone has an STD, please tell the people they're sleeping with. No, I'm not gonna say it. Okay, that's enough about STDs. Now we are going to pivot into voicemails. Let's see what we've been left today.
Aurora, I just wanted to let you know I listened to your voicemail about Dr. Love. I actually have known Dr. Love for about 10 years, and you are probably the 10th to 20th girl he's done that to. So it's hilarious because I was listening to the episode and I'm like, huh, this sounds familiar. This sounds like something my friend went through. And then you started to talk about like Newport Beach and all those things. Textbook behavior.
Oh my God. See,
God bless you. So happy that you got far away from that guy.
I am too, but this is exactly every time I'm reminded of this guy. And the reason I'm not in shock right now is because I listened to this like an hour ago. But every time I'm reminded of this guy, it makes me question my ability to choose the right people. It makes me question my ability to like make the right choices. Am I just going from instinct on like past so there's this guy that we're going to have on the show, and he's involved in Kabbalah, which is like Jewish mysticism. And he talks about how our reality is like totally colored by our past traumas and, you know, our religion, how we were raised. Like we all know that we were shaped by our environment, but basically that like nothing that we perceive is actually fully accurate. And I don't know, I was like, he's going to come and explain more on that. But he says that the best thing you could do is sharpen your consciousness. And by sharpening your consciousness, the way to do that is to try to be as much like the creator and by the creator, like nature, like letting things happen freely, not trying to force things, being in a season as long as you need to be in it, trying to mimic nature, basically. And that's a way to sharpen your consciousness so that we can perceive things more clearly. That's what I gathered from this Kabbalah teaching. And the reason why I actually asked him to come on the show is because I watched that video and I was like, I feel like I need him to teach me how to be more like that, because I just don't know, like by the guys that I've chosen lately that have just, well, it's mostly just that guy, but I feel like I'm traumatized from it, where I'm like, okay, I need to fix my picker, because like what did I not see in this person? And I think a lot of the times we just kind of see what we want to see, or we make up a fantasy in our head and we stick with it. And then when people show up differently or prove to be something other than the fantasy we created, it's like we're shocked, but we're kind of not shocked. We're more just disappointed in ourselves. So I'm excited to have this Kabbalah guy on, because he's going to hopefully give us a little insight on how to be more like the creator, aka nature, aka the divine, and kind of tap into like being an extension of that. And hopefully that will allow those of us who are questioning our decision-making skills, specifically in like love and romance, hopefully that will, I don't know, sharpen our ability to choose wisely. I don't know. We'll see. So I wanted to end with a book recommendation. This is a book that I listened to on Audible that I loved. It is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Joe Dispenza is the author of many books like Evolve Your Brain, which talks about the power of our mind and brain. He is like a biochemist and doctor of chiropractic. He does pretty much everything, but he talks about the fields of quantum physics, neuroscience, brain chemistry, and biology. Basically, this whole book is about how our thoughts become things. The book is based on the quantum model of the universe, which states that the world that we live in is nothing but a collection of atoms, and atoms are mostly space. Atoms are energy. So if we ponder over this, we understand that our external world is a field of energy, aka atoms, and frequencies. So if we're using our brain to think, we are actually creating our reality, like on a physical level. This stuff trips me out so much, but I love it because it makes so much sense to me and I feel it. But he gives you real, tangible ways to change your brain in order to change your reality. Joe Dispenza got into this whole world because he fell off a bicycle and basically was paralyzed. He needed to restructure his spine, but the surgery was going to probably paralyze him for life. And so instead of doing the surgery, he did these brain exercises where he envisioned his spine healing itself, and it worked. And this was in like 1986 or something. So when I heard about that, 1986, when I heard about that story, I've started following his work because he was one of the pioneers in like your brain and the thoughts you have actually making a difference on a physical plane, which is really cool. And it makes you really consider like, how do you talk to yourself? What are the words that are you gossiping? Or even just like those like mindless ruminating thoughts that are not making you feel good and are actually shaping your reality more than you might know. So anyway, it's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. Thanks everybody for listening. I will be back next week with Dr. Scott Lyons, and this guy is really interesting. He talks about being addicted to drama, and there's a book called Addicted to Drama that he wrote, and if you want to get prepped for next week, you can read the book. I'm listening to it actually on Audible myself right now, and he's going to be a good one. So see you guys next week.